Geraldine Jackson's hand shook against Chen Minger's chest as the last bit of clothes dropped off. The orange light from Seoul City skyline came through big windows from floor to ceiling, making shadows on the dragon tattoo that twisted up his body. The scales looked so real they seemed to shift with every breath he took. But it wasn't the tattoo that made her stop. It wasn't the scars either, even though there were lots. Shiny lines showing old fights on his golden skin that should have scared her. Her eyes went lower, and she stopped breathing. "You're" the word came out before she could stop it. And Geraldine's face got hot with a mix of fear and something way riskier. She'd been with guys before, but this, Mingyu's fingers bent under her chin, lifting her face until their eyes locked. His were dark, hard to read, except for the hunter-like shine that made her heart pound hard. "I'll be gentle," he promised, his voice getting low and rough, like rocks that shook through her whole body. The mix-up in those words, the wild force held back in his hold versus the respect in his voice, sent sparks down her back. Geraldine opened her mouth to answer, but Mingo's thumb rubbed her bottom lip, and her clear thoughts flew away. "Unless," he whispered, leaning so close his breath touched her ear like a ghost. "You ask me not to be." 12 hours earlier, Geraldine had no clue her job as a lawyer in Chicago would end this way. She'd walked into that Gangnam meeting room like she owned the place, back straight, leather folder held tight. Every bit the girl from Northwestern Law School who'd fought out of foster care with pure grit. At 32, she'd got real good at looking like no one could touch her. The Korean investor sat in a clean line, faces blank like prose. Except for one guy, he sat back at the head of the table like a king in charge. Dark suit fitted just right to his wide shoulders, one hand tapping a lazy beat on the wood. When Geraldine came in, his fingers stopped, his look fixed on her with a strength that felt real. She'd checked out the investment group, read every paper her firm gave her. Nowhere in those files did it say that Chen Mingu looked like trouble in a fancy suit, or that his stare could make her forget every work rule she'd ever made. "Miss Jackson," his English had an accent, clear and sharp. "Please sit." Geraldine sat, crossing her legs and opening her folder with easy moves she knew well. "Gentlemen, I've looked at your plan. There are a few mix-ups we need to fix." Mingu's lips bent, not really a smile, more like saying he took the dare. "Mix-ups part 17 goes against part 9. The building permits you've put down don't exist for the Taiwan spot." And she looked right in his eyes, not backing down. "The expected profit is not possible with math, unless you're cleaning dirty money." Quiet hit the room hard. One of the other guys breathed in quick. Another's hand went toward his coat, but Moo laughed. The sound was rough, really surprised, and it changed his face from scary to super good. "I like her," he said in Korean to his buddies, not breaking eye contact with Geraldine. She didn't know Korean, but she got the change in who had power when Mingu stood, fixing his coat. "Dinner tonight, then we'll talk terms again." "Mr. Chan." "Mingo," he fixed, moving around the table with a hunter's smooth step. He stopped close enough that Geraldine smelled fancy cologne mixed with something deeper. Smoke, maybe, or danger itself. "And this isn't a talk on terms, Miss Jackson. It's something that has to happen." She should have said no, should have seen the danger signs yelling in her belly. One dinner, she said yes, hating how out of breath she sounded. The place Mingu picked wasn't on any tourist list. Hidden down a Hongdae alley, it needed 3 secret words and an eye scan to get in. Red silk lights made shadows on low tables where guys in fancy suits did deals in quiet voices. Geraldine felt every eye follow her as she came in, the only black woman in a crowd that looked all the same, braids pulled into a nice bun, red dress hugging curves she usually covered with jackets. Moo stood when she got close, and something showed in his face. Hunger, yes, but also respect. "You're staring," Geraldine said, sitting across from him. "You're beautiful." The straight talk surprised her. Guys in her world, company lawyers, money managers, they flirted with hints, played tricks. Mingu said facts like he said terms in deals. "Nice words won't fix your fake permits," she shot back, but her voice shook. Mingu poured soju into 2 glasses, his hands steady in a way that said he'd done way worse things with them than pour drinks. I'm not trying to fix anything. I'm trying to get why you walk into rooms like you're set for a fight. The question hit like a hit. Geraldine grabbed her glass, needing something for her shaking fingers. Maybe because I've fought my whole life to be in those rooms. Who hurt you that badly? She wouldn't get until much later that Mingu asked questions the way he did deals, looking for weak spots to use. 3 glasses of soju later, Geraldine told him everything. Foster homes that never felt like home, working 2 jobs through law school, her ex, married, of course, whose text messages still lit up her phone at 2 a.m. Mingu listened without cutting in, his face getting darker with each story. When she finished, he leaned forward. He texts you. It doesn't matter. Give me his number. What? No. But Geraldine laughed, even though the silly part breaking stress she'd had for months. You can't just threaten every man who's wronged me. Moo's smile got sharp. I can do far worse than threaten. If you're already hooked on Geraldine and Mingo's story, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. Trust me, things are about to get a lot more dangerous and a lot more passionate. This is one romance you don't want to miss. And that's when she knew this man was dangerous. Not just in body, though the fight ready in his shoulders was clear, but dangerous to her carefully built walls. Her plan to never need anyone. 1 more drink, she whispered. 1 became 2. 2 became Mingo's driver opening the car door, his knowing grin in the back mirror. The elevator ride to his top floor place was a blur of hot looks and almost touches. Moo's control clearly breaking. They tripped through his door and the city lights spread out like a kingdom. Geraldine turned, found Mingu watching her with a look that took her breath. If you want to leave, he started. She kissed him. Mingu kissed back like a guy starving, hands going into her braids, tilting her head back to make the kiss deeper. Geraldine's folder hit the floor. Her jacket followed his coat, her dress, until she stood before him in nothing but skin and open feelings, and he was doing the same. And her eyes went down that tattooed body. You're so the words came out again, wonder and nerves mixed up. Mu's hand held her face, thumb following her cheek with super soft touch. I'll be gentle, he promised. But the heat in his eyes said gentle was the last thing either of them wanted. By morning, Geraldine wouldn't just struggle to walk. She'd struggle to remember who she was before Chen Mingu, and that should have been her first warning. Geraldine woke to sun cutting through strange windows and a body that felt like it had been fully taken. Every muscle hurt in ways that made her face hot, not from hurt exactly, but from the clear memories of how she'd got each sore spot. She tried to sit up. Her legs yelled no, easy. Minga's voice came from next to her, rough from sleep. He lay up on one elbow, dark hair over his forehead, watching her with a strength that stopped her breath. The dragon tattoo twisted across his chest looked almost real in the morning light. I warned you I'd be gentle. You're the one who begged me to stop. Heat filled Geraldine's face. I did not beg, you did. His fingers lightly touched her jaw, and the soft in the touch went against the bad in his smile multiple times, very prettily. She should leave. Her flight to Chicago, her job review, her whole carefully built life waited across an ocean. But when she reached for her dress wrinkled on the floor, Minga's hand went around her wrist. Stay, not a question. Order wrapped in soft stuff. 1 more day. Geraldine Jackson had built a job on making smart choices. This wasn't one of them. Okay, she whispered. Minga's soul was nothing like the guidebooks. He took her to a street market in Myeongdong, where old ladies sold tteokbokki from hot carts. Their eyes got big when they saw Geraldine, the only black woman for blocks, but got soft when Mingu spoke fast Korean, his hand owning at the small of her back. He bought her hotteok dripping with honey, and when she got it all over her fingers, he sucked the sweet off her thumb in a way that made her forget they were in public. People are staring, Geraldine whispered. Let them. Minga's eyes had a risky edge under the like. They need to know you're mine. That word again, mine. It should have set off alarms. Instead, it sent sparks down her back. They walked along Chengekian Stream, And for the first time, Mingu talked about his kid days. Left alone at 6, raised by men who taught him fighting before they taught him to read. His voice stayed even, like facts. But Geraldine saw the tight grip on the rail. "Is that how you got the scars?" she asked softly. Mingu looked at her, something open showing behind his eyes. "Some others I earned protecting what's mine." He pulled her closer, his nose touching her side head. "I'd earn 1,000 more for you." The sureness in his voice made her chest tight. They'd known each other 36 hours. This was crazy, but when Mingu kissed her against the stream wall, the city blurring around them, crazy felt like the only smart pick. What Geraldine didn't see was Moo's phone lighting up in his pocket. 17 missed calls, a crisis, building that would break everything. Back at the top floor place, Mingu pressed her against the door before it fully closed, kissing her with a rush that felt like need. Geraldine's hands grabbed his shirt, and when he lifted her, legs wrapping around his waist, even with the hurt, she didn't say no. Again, she gasped against his mouth. Again, he said yes, carrying her toward the bedroom, "Until you forget you ever planned to leave." Hours later, Geraldine lay loose against his chest, his heartbeat even under her ear. Moo's fingers drew lazy shapes down her back, and she felt herself drifting when his phone blew up on the side table. He got tight right away, every muscle like rock. "Don't answer it," Geraldine whispered. But Mingu was already grabbing, his face changing as he read the screen. He answered in short Korean, and even without knowing the words, Geraldine heard the change from lover to something cold and deadly. His free hand got tight on her hip, almost hurting before he remembered, and got soft. The call lasted 90 seconds. When Mingu hung up, the man who'd fed her honey treats was gone. In his place sat someone risky. "You need to leave Seoul," he said quietly. Today, Geraldine sat up, holding the sheet to her chest. Ice filled her blood at his voice. "What? Your firm didn't send you here for a real deal?" Minga's jaw got tight, a muscle moving. "Your boss, Richard Vaughan, stole $40 million from my family's money. He made fake papers, fake permits, everything you found mix-ups in. And he sent you here to take the blame while he ran off with the cash." The room spun. Geraldine's mind went through the past week. Vaughan saying she had to handle Seoul herself. His weird excitement, the way he'd smiled at the airport. "No," she whispered. "He wouldn't. My people want payback." Mu's voice broke. "They want your payback as pay. I told them you're not guilty." But what? "But I'm just one voice. Geraldine, the group meets in 72 hours to vote on your punishment." Punishment. Such a clean word for killing. Geraldine got out of bed fast, legs shaking. From fear now, not fun. "This is crazy. I didn't steal anything." "I know." Mingo was on his feet, gripping her shoulders. "But my second boss doesn't care. They need someone to pay, and you're here. Easy. Then I'll go to the embassy. The police, you'll be dead before you reach the street." The sureness in his voice made her belly drop. This man who'd loved her body hours ago was now telling her she was marked for death. "Why are you telling me this?" Her voice broke. "Why not just let them?" Mingu kissed her hard, needy, his hands holding her face like she was super special. When he pulled back, his eyes were open with something that looked like pain. "Because I choose you," he said, "over my job, over everything. You're under my protection now." "What does that mean?" "It means we have 72 hours to prove you're not guilty and get back the 40 million. If we do both, the group might let you live." His thumb followed her cheek. "And it means, if they come for you anyway, they go through me first." Geraldine's chest got tight. "You die for me. We just met. I'd kill for you." Moo's smile was sharp, dangerous, completely honest. Dying would be easier. Geraldine had thought the most dangerous thing about Chen Mingu was how he made her feel. She was wrong. The most dangerous thing was that he meant every word, and 72 hours might not be enough time to save either of them. Geraldine didn't sleep. She sat curled on Minga's leather couch, wearing one of his shirts that was too big, while he walked the top floor place like a trapped animal, his phone to his ear, switching between Korean and English as he gave sharp orders. Outside, Seoul shone, not knowing, pretty deadly. I don't care what Ji-hoon thinks, Mingu said sharp in English, clearly for, her benefit. She doesn't leave my sight. Find Von's last spot and send it to my safe line. He hung up, pulled a hand through his hair, and finally looked at her. The tiredness in his eyes made him look almost open. Almost we're leaving in 2 hours, he said. I have a safe house on Jeju Island where you'll be safe while my team hunts Vaughn. Geraldine's lawyer mind started despite the fear. What about proof? I can get into the firm's computers from far. If I can log in and pull the real deals. Smart Mingu came to her, bending down so they were eye to eye, his hands on her knees, warm and steady. Bring your laptop. We'll work the law side while my people work the street side. Your people. She tried the words. You mean the crime group? Yes. No sorry, no shame, just hard truth. Geraldine should have said take her to the embassy even with the risk. But sitting here in his shirt, his hands steady on her skin, she felt safer than she had in years. Okay, she whispered. Mingu's thumb drew circles on her knee, and the soft in the move went against everything she knew about him. Get some rest. I'll wake you when it's time. But rest was impossible. Every time Geraldine closed her eyes, she saw Richard Vaughn smile at the airport, felt the weight of 40 million in stolen money pressing her chest. What she didn't know was that the next 70 hours would test more than her stay-alive skills. They'd test whether love could grow in the shadow of death. The private plane was way too fancy. All soft leather and dark wood. A flying big house that probably cost more than her law school bills. Mingu had got them to a private airstrip outside Seoul where no checks, no guards, no people saw them get on. Morning light came through the windows as they flew steady over the ocean. Moo poured brown liquid into clear glasses. Whiskey for breakfast, Geraldine asked. We both need it. He gave her a glass, their fingers touching, and that simple touch sent sparks up her arm. She took a sip, letting the burn calm her. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why risk everything for me? Geraldine met his eyes. You could have let your people handle this. Could have washed your hands of the dumb American lawyer. Why? Mingu was quiet, looking at her like she was a puzzle he couldn't fix. Then he leaned forward, elbows on his knees, close enough that she smelled his cologne. You walked into that meeting room like you owned it, he said softly, called out my lies without backing down. And last night when you told me about your ex, your foster homes, you weren't asking for pity. You were just honest. His jaw got tight. You make me want to be more than this, more than fighting and dirty money and deals made in dark. Her breath stopped. That's not an answer. You make me want to be the man you see when you look at me. And who do I see? Someone worth saving. The truth hung between them, open and risky. Geraldine put down her glass and crossed the small space, sitting herself in Muz's lap. His arms came around her right away, owning and protecting. We barely know each other, she whispered against his neck. I know you take your coffee black. You tap your pen 3 times before signing papers. Mingo's fingers followed her back and she shook. I know you're smart and brave and so darn beautiful it hurts to look at you. That's obsession. I'm aware. His smile was dark. No, sorry. He kissed her before she could answer. Deep, owning, taking whatever no she might have said. Geraldine melted into him, and when his hand went under the edge of his shirt she wore, fingers spreading across bare skin, she gasped into his mouth. Here, she breathed. Everywhere. Moo growled against her lips. Every chance I get until you understand you're mine. That word again. Mine. It should have scared her. Instead, it made her burn. The Jeju safe house was a old-style honok, hidden in volcano, cliffs looking over the ocean, all clean lines and paper doors around by camellia trees. Pretty. Alone. A fancy cage. Mingyu's phone buzzed as they went in. His face got dark as he read the screen. My tech team found Vaughn, he said. Manila Shangri-La Hotel under a fake name. But there's a problem. Geraldine's belly dropped. What problem? He emptied 3 FAR accounts this morning. The money's moving through fake companies. We can't track it yet. Mingo's knuckles went white around the phone. I'm sending my best team to grab him. But even if they do, getting the funds back will take time. How much time do we have left? 68 hours before the council votes. The number felt like a countdown to a killing. Geraldine sat on the low couch, mind going through law plans that all ended at the same truth. Crime group justice didn't work like American courts. Mingu sat beside her, pulling her against his chest. His heartbeat was steady under her ear, a hold in the mess. I won't let them touch you, he whispered into her hair. Whatever it takes, even if it costs you everything. Especially then. Geraldine tilted her head back, looking at his face, the hard lines, the scars, the eyes that held too much dark. But when he looked at her, something soft came out, something that made her chest hurt. You're insane, she whispered. About you, completely. He kissed her slowly this time, fully, like he had all the time in the world, instead of 68 hours. His hands mapped her body with super slow care, following her curves, learning her answers, until Geraldine was shaking against him. Mingu, she gasped, when his mouth moved to her neck. We need to focus on, I am focused. His teeth touched her pulse spot, and clear thoughts flew away. Focused on making sure you know exactly how much you matter, how far I'll go. He proved it with his hands, his mouth, the way he loved every bit of her until she forgot about Vaughn and groups and death orders, until there was only Mingu, and the way he made her feel, owned, loved, completely taken apart. Afterward, they lay mixed together on the couch, the ocean hitting against cliffs outside. Geraldine followed the dragon tattoo across his chest, tracing scales up to his shoulder. Tell me about this, she said. Softly, Mingu caught her hand, pressing a kiss to her palm. I got it when I became the boss. The dragon stands for power, protection. It's supposed to be a warning. His smile turned fun. But you're not afraid of it. Should I be? Probably. He tucked a braid behind her ear. I'm not a good man, Geraldine. The things I've done. I don't care about what you've done. She met his eyes. I care about what you're doing now for me. Moo's face opened up, open weak spilling through. He pulled her closer, hiding his face in her neck. You're going to destroy me, he whispered against her skin. Before Geraldine could answer, his phone blew up with a loud alarm. Mingu grabbed it, and every line of his body went stiff. What is it? He looked at her, and ice filled his face. The edge has been broken. We have company. Multiple cars armed. His jaw got tight. Someone sold us out. They know we're here. Outside, the sound of car doors closing echoed through the camellia trees. They had maybe 90 seconds before fighting came crashing through those pretty paper doors. Moo moved with deadly exact. 1 second, he was holding Geraldine. The next he'd gone to the bedroom closet, pulling out a gun that looked like part of his arm. Bathroom, he ordered, voice cold and in control. Lock the door. Don't come out until I say. I'm not hiding while you... Now, Geraldine. The order in his voice made her jump, but under it, she heard something else. Fear not for himself, for her. She ran. The bathroom was small, old style, with a single foggy window looking over the cliffs. Geraldine locked the door with shaking hands and pressed her back against cool tile, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Outside, she heard Mingu speaking fast Korean, calm, deadly. Then, heavier steps, lots of them, boots on wood floors. A voice answered in accented English. Mingo, the council asks you give the American woman peacefully. The council can go to hell. She's just one woman, not worth dying for. That's where you're wrong, Tae-yang. Mingyu's voice got low to something dark and risky. She's worth killing for. Geraldine pressed her fist against her mouth. Men were about to die because she'd trusted her firm, because she'd been dumb enough to think she could deal with bad guys and walk away clean. A gunshot broke through the air. She jumped, sick rising. More shots came, controlled sounds that made her chest tight. Through the door, she heard grunts, bodies hitting floor, the bad thud of fighting she couldn't see but felt in her bones. Then quiet, Geraldine Mingu's voice, rough but even. It's safe, come out. Her hand shook so bad she could barely turn the lock. When she came out, Mingu stood in the living room, gun down, breathing hard, blood on his white shirt. Not his, she got with sick relief. Behind him, 3 men lay out cold, tied with zip and mouths covered. "You didn't kill them," she whispered. "Not yet." Minga's eyes were flat, cold. "But if they had gotten past me to you, I would have painted these walls red." The easy way he said it should have scared her. Instead, something basic in Geraldine answered to the safety, the full sureness that this man would burn the world for her. "We need to move," Mingo went on, already pulling out his phone. "They found us once. They'll send more." His look locked on hers. "Somewhere they'll never think to look." My kid home, Busan. The drive to the airport was quiet and tense. Mu kept one hand on the wheel, the other on Geraldine's leg, steady, owning. Morning was starting over the ocean, painting everything gold and red. "How did they find us?" she finally asked. Mu's jaw got tight. "Someone in my close group talked. Only 5 people knew about Jeju." His thumb drew circles on her leg, the move not matching the fight in his voice. "I'll find out who, and I'll make them sorry." The plane was waiting, smaller than before, more useful. The moment they were in the air, Mingu pulled Geraldine into his arms. His voice broke. "I need to know you're okay, that you're here." She got it. The energy drop, the fear finally coming. Geraldine held his face, making him meet her eyes. "I'm here," she whispered. "I'm okay." Mingu kissed her needy, hands grabbing her hair, and she tasted fear under the warmth. His control was breaking. The calm crime boss replaced by a man scared of losing what he'd found. "If they'd hurt you," he breathed against her mouth. "They didn't. You stopped them this time." He pulled back, forehead to hers. "But the council vote is in." He checked his phone and his face got dark. 62 hours. My team still hasn't got the money, and someone inside my group just tried to kill you. Geraldine's mind went fast. What if I turn myself in, say my side right to the council? They'll kill you right there. Or they'll listen. I'm a lawyer, Mingu. I know how to argue. No. His voice turned hard. I won't let you give yourself up, and I won't let you die keeping me safe. Words hung between them, open and true. Mu stared at her, something breaking in his face. You think I'm doing this out of duty? He said rough. Some hero thing. We've known each other for days. I fell for you in 4 minutes. Mu's hands held her face. The moment you walked into that meeting room and called me out, you looked at me like I was just a man, not a monster. His thumb followed her lips. I don't care if it's been for days or for years. You're mine, Geraldine, and I protect what's mine. Tears burned her eyes. This is crazy. I know. He kissed her softly, then deeper, until she melted into him. But I'd rather die keeping you safe than live knowing I let them take you. What neither of them knew was that the betrayal ran deeper than either thought, and the next call Mingu got would break everything. The Busan safe house was a tight apartment in Gamshan Culture Village, hidden in a maze of colorful houses stacked up the hill. Tourists walked the narrow paths taking pics, not knowing the danger hiding there. Perfect hide. Mingu locked the door. 3 big locks, strong frame, while Geraldine fell onto the small couch. Her body finally felt the past 12 hours. No sleep, always fear, the gunshots still in her head. Sleep, Mu said, sitting beside her and pulling her against his chest. I'll keep watch. You need rest, too. I'll rest when you're safe. His fingers went through her braids, soft despite the fighting those same hands had done hours ago. Geraldine wanted to fight, but tiredness pulled her down. She woke to afternoon light coming through windows and Mu's voice, low, urgent Korean, into his phone. She stayed still, listening to the flow, heard when shock turned to something colder. He hung up, sat quiet. What happened? Geraldine whispered. Mingu looked at her, and the wreck in his eyes made her chest tight. My second boss, Ji-hoon. His voice was empty. The one who wanted you dead from the start. He's the one who sold us out. He's been working with Vaughn the whole time. The betrayal hit like a real hit. What? Money. Power. Ji-hoon thought he could take my spot if he gave you to the council. Got the funds himself. Made me look weak. Minga's hands got tight. I've known him since we were kids, trusted him with everything. Geraldine grabbed his face, making him meet her eyes. She saw the hurt there, not just planned betrayal, but personal wreck. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't say sorry for him. Musk's voice broke. He made his choice. Where is he now? My loyal men have him. He'll face crime group justice. The mean in his smile made her shake. But first, he's giving us everything. Vaughn's exact spot in Manila, the account numbers, everything. Hope grew. The money. Ji-hoon says Vaughn kept detailed deal records, safety in case their team went bad. My team's going for him now. Moo checked his watch. We should have him in 3 hours. It was the first good news in days. Geraldine felt tears of relief building. Then Mingo's face changed to something darker. What? She asked. The council moved up the vote. Ji-hoon's betrayal made them worried. They don't know who else is bad. He pulled her onto his lap, arms tight around her. We don't have 62 hours anymore. Geraldine, we have 36. The number felt like a countdown to killing. 36 hours. She said numb. Even if we get every dollar, even if we prove you're not guilty. Mingu hid his face in her neck. 36 hours might not be enough. Geraldine felt his fear, his need, and made a choice. She turned in his lap, sitting over him, and kissed him with everything she had. All her fear and thanks, and the impossible feelings growing in her chest. Mingu answered like a man sinking, hands going under her shirt, following skin like he was remembering her. When he pulled back, his eyes were dark with want. If we only have 36 hours, Geraldine whispered against his mouth. I don't want to waste them being afraid. He got it, stood with her wrapped around him, and carried her to the small bedroom, laying her down like she was something special. What followed was slower than before, respectful, almost needy. Mingu loved every bit of her skin, and Geraldine let herself feel everything. The impossible link, the fear, the sureness that whatever happened next, she wouldn't face it alone. Afterward, they lay mixed together, the Busan sunset painting the walls orange. Promise me something, Mingu said quietly. Anything, if it comes down to it. If they give me a choice between my spot and your life. His arms got tight. Don't ask me to choose the group. Geraldine's throat closed. Moo, I'll burn it all down for you. Every team, every promise. You need to know that. She did know, and that scared her more than the council, more than the ticking time, because she'd do the same for him. Geraldine woke to Minga's phone shaking against the side table. Keep going. Urgent. He was already awake. She got, his hand drawing lazy shapes down her back. Even his tightness went through his body. He answered without moving away from her. Talk to me. The voice on the other end was fast Korean, but Geraldine heard the win in it. Musk's whole body went still. Then he sat up quick. You have him the records. A pause. Good. I want every account number, every deal. His free hand found Geraldine squeezing tight, and Ji-hoon, whatever the answer was, made Mingu's face harden to stone. Keep him alive until I get back to Seoul. He doesn't get the mercy of a quick death. He hung up, turned to Geraldine, and for the first time in days, something like hope showed in his eyes. They got Vaughn, and the deal records. Relief hit her so hard she couldn't breathe. All of it, every stolen dollar, every fake company, every account. Moo pulled her into his lap, pressing his forehead to hers. My money team is tracking the cash now. If we can get even 70% before the council meets, they might let me live. Geraldine finished. They will let you live because I'm not giving them another option. The sureness in his voice felt like a promise, but Geraldine's belly chose that moment to turn bad. She pulled away, hand to her mouth. You okay? Minga's worry was right away. Yeah, just another wave of stress probably. I haven't exactly been eating regular, but even as she said it, something bugged her. The tiredness that felt deep, the soft in her chest she'd been ignoring, the fact that her period was, oh God. What Geraldine didn't know was that the next hour would show a problem that changed everything. Moo said they stop at a store on the way to the airport. He bought her crackers, ginger tea, water, staying close like she might break. Geraldine felt nice and bugged. Same. I'm fine, she said. No, really, you're pale. When's the last time you ate? She couldn't remember. But as they walked the rows, Geraldine's eyes caught on a show near the drug part. Pregnancy tests. 3 different kinds. Pink boxes saying results in minutes. Her heart stopped. No, it was impossible. They'd been careful mostly, except that first night when need and whiskey had made them wild, and the second time. And Geraldine Minga's voice seemed to come from far. What is it? She grabbed a test with shaking hands. Didn't look at him. I just need to check something. Getting it dawned in his eyes, followed by something that looked like fear and hope, mixed. They didn't talk on the drive back to the Busan safe house. Geraldine held the pink box like a save, mind going through impossible numbers. 1 week. They'd known each other 1 week. This couldn't be happening. In the small bathroom, she took the test with shaking hands, set the timer on her phone, sat on the closed toilet top, and stared at the wall, trying not to think, trying not to hope, trying not to fear. The timer went off. 2 pink lines. Clear, no doubt, completely wrecking. Pregnant. Geraldine didn't know how long she sat there. Seconds, minutes, hours. Long enough that Mingu knocked soft. Can I come in? She opened the door, held out the test without words. Mu stared at it for a long time. Then he looked at her, and the look on his face broke something in her chest. Not fear, not sorry, wonder. He couldn't seem to finish the sentence. Pregnant, Geraldine whispered. I'm pregnant. And just like that, the risk of staying alive shifted from saving 1 life to keeping 2 safe. They made it to Seoul in quiet, but Mingo's hand never left hers. His thumb drew circles on her wrist, steady, owning, respectful. His main office was in Gangnam, a smooth, tall building that looked company but felt army. Everyone who passed them had the eyes of killers, and Geraldine felt their stares, figuring if she was worth the mess. Mingyu's hand at the small of her back was a clear answer. Yes. When a scarred older man stepped in their way, Minga's face went cold. Move. Sang-woo. The council wants to see her now. The vote is in 28 hours. She's not a risk. She's mine. Mu's voice got low to deadly. And if anyone says otherwise, they can say it to my face. Sang-woo's eyes held warning. Your father built this group on being loyal, not feelings. The talk of Minga's father made his jaw tight, but he led Geraldine past and into a private elevator. Your father? She asked, quiet. He was boss before me, died when I was 23. I took over because I was mean enough to hold the spot. Mu's hands moved. He would have given you over without thinking twice. But you're not him? No. He looked at her, one hand going to her still flat belly. I'm not. The elevator doors opened onto his private floor, and the man waiting inside his office would offer them one chance at staying alive. The man sitting in Mingu's chair was silver hair, 60-something, with fighting cut into good-looking face. Mingu's uncle, his father's younger brother, who'd helped raise him after his mum left. Uncle Mingu said, careful. I wasn't expecting you. Clearly, the uncle looked at Geraldine. So, this is the American lawyer worth burning down everything your father built. This is Geraldine Jackson, Mingo fixed, stepping between them. And she's under my protection. Your protection, or your obsession. The uncle's smile was sharp. Then he pushed his phone across the desk. Your team got back 82% of the funds. Good work. 82%. Relief filled Geraldine, but it's not enough. The uncle went on. The council wants full payback and blood, best hers. He looked at Mingu, however. There is another way. Marry her. The words hung like a bomb. There's an old crime group law. The uncle explained. Family can't be touched. If she's your wife, killing her means war on you personally. Most council guys won't risk it, especially if you've got the money back. His look got sharp. But it has to be real. Proper Korean event council see legal papers, and if we don't, Geraldine asked, the council votes tomorrow night, and you won't survive the end. The uncle left quiet, filled the office. Mu poured whiskey, drank his glass. You don't have to do this. I can find another way. What other way? Geraldine's hand went to her belly. I'm not just deciding for myself anymore. Mingu's eyes followed the move. Something strong and protecting showed across his face. Ask me, Geraldine whispered. If you want this, if you want us, ask me right. He came to her, taking her hands in his. They were shaking. Geraldine Jackson. His voice was rough. I know this is crazy. I know we've barely known each other a week, but I've never felt about anyone the way I feel about you. He swallowed hard. You make me want to be more than this. And now, his hand covered hers on her belly. Now you're carrying my child. So, I'm asking, not because it's a plan, but because I want you, both of you. Tears burned her eyes. Marry me, Moo said. Be mine. Let me protect you both. The smart answer was no. The safe answer was no. But Geraldine had spent 32 years playing safe. Yes, she whispered. Moo kissed her like she was air. Needy, respectful, completely taken apart. When he lifted her onto the desk, she wrapped around him, and for a few stolen moments, there was no counsel, no time limit, no risk, just them. 28 hours until the wedding. 28 hours until the vote. And carrying Moo's child, Geraldine got she wasn't marrying him just to live. She was marrying him because she'd fallen super in love. The old-style hanbok felt like shield and open wrapped in one. Deep red silk with gold phoenixes sewn. The fabric so nice it whispered against Geraldine's skin with every breath. Her braids had been pulled into a nice upstyle with jade pins that were Minu's grandma's. A woman she'd never met, but whose stuff she was somehow getting. In the mirror, she barely knew herself. You look beautiful, said Mo, Mingu's cousin, and apparently the only girl family willing to say this wedding wasn't full crazy. He won't be able to breathe when he sees you. Geraldine's hand went to her belly, still flat, but holding the secret that changed everything. I can't believe this is happening. Love rarely makes sense. Minso fixed the hanbok collar with known hands, especially not the kind worth dying for. The event was being held in a private room in the crime group's main place. Middle ground where the council could see and vote right after. 60 guests, all of them risky men who'd already picked if she should live. The thought made Geraldine's hands shake. Hey, Minso caught her wrist, holding steady. Moo chose you over everything. That means something in our world. And if it's not enough, Minso's smile was sharp. Then you'll learn why you don't cross a man keeping his family safe. 28 hours had passed in a blur of getting ready, papers, and Mingu's team getting the last bits of stolen money. Now standing at the start of a wedding that was equal parts love and live plan, Geraldine got she'd never been more scared or more sure of anything in her life. The event room was old Korean, nice. Low tables, silk seats, paper lights making warm glow across dark wood. The council guys sat in stiff setup, faces no-show, but Geraldine felt their check like knives. At the front, Mingu waited in a navy hanbok with dragons sewn. When he saw her, his whole face changed. The cold crime boss replaced by a man fully taken apart. Geraldine walked the path alone. No dad to give her, no family to see this impossible pick. Just her and 60 risky looks following every step. When she got to Mingu, he took her hands, and the shake in his hold matched hers. You're stunning, he whispered in English, low, so only she heard. And I'm the luckiest bad guy alive. Despite everything, Geraldine smiled. You clean up pretty well yourself. The leader started the event in Korean, but Mingu said the big parts in whispers. The promises about being loyal, team, building a family together. Each word felt like a vow and a weapon against the men watching. When it came time to bow 3 times to sky, parents, and each other, Geraldine followed Mingu's lead, feeling the weight of old ways she didn't fully get, but was now tied to. Then, Mingu brought out the jade ring. Fancy cuts of phoenix dragons mixed. He put it on her finger with shaking hands. You're mine now, he said, loud for the room to hear. Under crime group law, under Korean old way, under every safety I can give, anyone who touches you starts war on me. It wasn't sweet. It was a threat and wedding promises, and from the moving in the council's spots, the message hit. The leader said they were married. Moo kissed her, owning possessive. fully respectful, and for one perfect moment, Geraldine forgot about the vote, waiting on the other side of this event. But the council hadn't forgotten, and the moment Mingu pulled back, his uncle stood, calling the room to order. The vote, Mingu's uncle said, his voice cutting through the quiet talks. As is old way when family law is used, the council will now pick if this marriage is real, and the fate of Geraldine Jackson Chan. Geraldine's old name with minus felt strange on her tongue, but hearing it, said made something in her chest tight. She was truly tied to him now. Moo's hand found hers, squeezing once together. The money get back stands at 91%. The uncle went on, reading from his phone. Good work. However, 3 council guys have said no to this marriage is real and want old payback. Blood for blood. 3 men stood in the back, older, harder, their faces promising fight. Mingu stepped forward, putting himself between Geraldine and the council. Then let them say it to my face. Let them say why a woman who was set up by her own firm, who knew nothing of the steal, who has helped us get back $40 million in 1 week, deserves killing. She's a risk. One of the men, Choi, from his name tag, said mean, a foreign lawyer who knows too much about our work. Today, you marry her for safety. Tomorrow she talks against us to save herself. She's my wife. Mu's voice got low to deadly. She carries my child. And if you think I'll let you touch her, you're welcome to try. Shock went through the room. Geraldine's baby wasn't known until this moment, and the news changed plans on every face. A child. The uncle's eyes went up. That does make it hard. It makes it easy. Mingu fixed. She's family now, fully, can't change, and crime group law is clear. Family can't be touched. Law can be changed, Choi said, especially when the family threatens our safe. Then change it. Mingu's smile was sharp, risky, but you'll do it over my dead body, and I promise you, Choi, I'll take at least 10 of you with me. The threat hung in the air. Several council guys moved, not comfy. Fighting was business, but inside war was different. This was the moment, the edge where everything either broke or held. Then move from the side. A man stood younger than most of the council with a scar through his left eye line. Sang-woo, the one who'd warned them in the hall. I stand with Mingu, Sang-woo said clear. His father built this group on strong and loyal. Mingu has shown both by getting our money and keeping what's his. I won't vote against that. Another man stood, then another. Within 30 seconds, half the council was on their feet, saying support. But Choi and his 2 friends stayed sitting, faces dark with mad. This isn't over, Choi said quiet. A vote split is no vote. Actually, Moo's uncle cut in, pulling out a formal paper. Crime group law needs only half, +1 for family safety votes, 28-3. His smile was thin. I'd say that's clear. Choi's jaw got tight so hard, Geraldine heard his teeth, but he stood, bowed stiff, and left. His 2 friends following like shadows. The room breathed out together. Moo turned to Geraldine, and the relief in his eyes was so deep it almost brought her down. He pulled her into his arms, hiding his face in her neck. We won, he whispered against her skin. You're safe. You're mine. We won. Geraldine held him tighter, feeling the shake in his shoulders, the way his hands held her like she might go. Around them, the council guys came close, some with real congrats, others with hard-hidden mad, but they'd won. Against hard odds, against a time that felt like death, they'd lived. The party was quiet, but there, whiskey going, careful cheers, the stress slowly leaving the room. Mingu never left her side, his arm owning round her waist, thumb drawing no think shapes on her hip. 91%, Geraldine said quiet. What happens to the other 9? It's gone. Vaughn moved it through crypto money before we grabbed him. Can't track. Mingu's jaw got tight, but 91% of 40 million is enough. The council's want is happy, and Vaughn, facing bad in Manila, sent to us, probably 20 years least. Moo's smile was cold, though I made sure his jail cell was not comfy. Geraldine should have felt bad about that, should have said for right law way, but when she thought about Vaughn's smile at the airport, the way he'd set her up to die, She felt only good. What about Ji-hoon? She asked. Mingyu's face went dark. Crime group justice. It's done. She didn't ask for more. Didn't want to know. Some parts of Mingyu's world she'd have to take without looking close. His uncle came, 2 glasses of whiskey in hand. He gave one to Mingyu, nodded at Geraldine. You lived, he said. Simple. Both of you. That takes either super luck or super hard head. Both, Mu said, pulling Geraldine closer. Definitely both. The uncle's smile was real this time. Your father would have hated this, but I think he would have respected it. He raised his glass. To family. However we build it. They cheered, drank. And for the first time in a week, Geraldine felt like she could breathe. By the time the last guest left, tiredness had Geraldine not steady on her feet. Mu picked her up without asking, carrying her toward the elevator. I can walk, she said weak. I know, but I've been wanting to do this all night. He kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. My wife, my pregnant wife, who just lived through a crime group council vote. When you say it like that, it sounds crazy. It is crazy. The elevator doors closed and Mu pressed her against the wall, hands holding her face. But it's ours. This crazy, risky, impossible life, it's ours now. Geraldine looked at him. This man who'd picked her over everything, who'd fought a group of killers for her right to live, who looked at her like she was his whole world. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. Mingyu's thumb followed her lips. And I'm going to spend the rest of our lives proving you made the right choice. They'd lived through the vote, lived through the council, lived through hard odds against them from the start. But as the elevator took them toward their top floor place, toward their future, Geraldine got the real hard was just starting, building a life together in the shadow of the crime group, raising their child in this risky world, and proving that love could live even here. 6 months later, Geraldine stood in the fixed hammock in Buckhan, one hand pressed to the small of her hurting back, the other resting on her very round belly. Seoul stretched below through old paper windows, a city she'd come to escape, then fought to live in, and now somehow called home. You're supposed to be resting, Mingyu said from the door, coming to her with that hunter smooth that still made her heart skip. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, hands over hers on their daughters moving. She won't let me rest, Geraldine said complain, but she was smiling. Your daughter has got your can't stay still. My daughter is perfect. Mu pressed a kiss to her neck, just like her mum. 6 months. Sometimes it felt like forever, sometimes like yesterday. The council vote, the fear, the hard odds, it all felt far now, soft by the everyday real of building a life together. Though every day was relative when your husband was a Korean crime boss. How was the meeting? Geraldine asked. Mingyu had spent the morning with his money team working on what he called real business stuff. Slowly, careful, changing the crime group's work away from the dark deals. That had been his dad's way. Good. We finished the tech money deal. Fully legal, fully clean. His hands drew shapes on her belly. And I told the council I'm stepping back from outwork after the baby comes. Geraldine turned in his arms. You did what? Still the boss, still deciding, but I'm giving the risky work to others. Mingyu's face was serious. I promised to be here to watch our daughter grow, to not make you alone before she's born. Tears burned Geraldine's eyes. She watched Mingyu pick their future over the only life he'd known. Thank you, she whispered. He kissed her soft. Don't thank me for wanting to live long enough to bug you for the next 50 years. The foundation opening was in 2 hours, and while most of Seoul saw it as a simple help launch, Geraldine knew the crime group was watching, testing if Mingyu's changes made him weak or showed he was building something lasting. The foundation building was in Itaewon, modern and welcoming, with bright wall art by local people. A phoenix rising covered one wall. New birth, change, living. As guests came, Geraldine knew faces from the council, mixed with local bosses and help workers. Mingyu's uncle showed with a yes nod, and even Sang-woo came with a give check that made her eyes big. The crime group takes care of its own, Sang-woo said simple, and your family now. The words settled something in Geraldine's chest. Family, not just Mingu, but this hard, risky net of people who'd voted to let her live and were now helping her dream. Mo showed with a list board. We've got 50 asks for the guide program already. The school help fund is full for 3 years. It's a start, Geraldine said, feeling thick in her throat. The event was small but means something. Geraldine gave a short talk in English with Minso, saying in Korean about second chances and found family and putting in kids who'd been told they didn't count. When she'd done, a teen girl with fight eyes came slow. You really grew up in foster care? She asked in careful English. 7 different homes before I got old. And you're okay now? Geraldine looked at Mingu standing near her round belly, at the foundation they'd built from bad ashes. I'm more than okay, she said true. I'm happy, and I want you to know that's possible for you, too. The girl nodded, eyes bright, and walked away with shoulders a little straighter. That change, that tiny spark of maybe, made every scary moment of the past 7 months worth it. 3 weeks later, at 3:47 a.m., Mingu held his daughter for the first time. She was tiny, perfect, with a bunch of dark hair and eyes that would be his. When she wrapped her super small hand around his finger, Geraldine watched her risky, mean husband fully break. She's so small, he whispered, scared and in wonder. She's perfect. Geraldine fixed from the hospital bed, tired and smiling. Mingu sat beside her, careful, their daughter held against his chest, like she was glass. What do we call her? They talked names for months. Korean, American, something for both ways. But looking at her now, Geraldine knew. Hope, she said soft, because that's what she stands for. Moo's eyes were wet-looking. Hope kissed their daughter's forehead, then leaned to kiss Geraldine. Thank you for living, for fighting, for giving me this. We gave each other this. It was true. 7 months ago, she'd walked into a Gangnam meeting room, thinking normal deal, and instead found risk, betrayal, and the love of her life. She'd been hunted, almost killed, and through it all, Mingu had picked her. A soft knock stopped the moment. Minso looked in, followed by Minga's uncle and Sang-woo, all with flowers and wearing real warm looks. We won't stay, Mo said quick. Just wanted to meet her. Mo stood and Geraldine watched as he showed their daughter to the crime group members who'd become family. Sang-woo's scarred face got fully soft when Hope grabbed his finger. The uncle whispered something in Korean that made Minga's jaw tight with feeling. Your father would have been hard about this, the uncle said in English, clearly for Geraldine's good. But I think even he would have said, you chose well. After they left, Mingu went back to the bed, sitting beside Geraldine with Hope still held in his arms. The 3 of them fit perfect. This family they'd built from hard odds. I love you, Geraldine whispered, running her fingers through Hope's soft hair. I love you both. Moo's voice was rough with feeling. My whole world right here in this room. Outside, Seoul was waking. A city full of risk and pretty, fighting and second chances. Inside this hospital room, Geraldine held her husband's hand and watched their daughter sleep, and felt fully, impossibly safe. She'd lived through foster care, law school, betrayal, and a Mafia council vote. She'd fallen in love in the most risky way possible. She'd married a man who'd burned his world to keep her safe. And now she had hope. A daughter who'd grow up knowing she was wanted, picked, loved hard by parents who'd fought hard odds to build this life. Mingo moved Hope a bit, his free hand finding Geraldine's and linking their fingers. The jade ring on her finger caught the early morning light. Phoenix and dragons mixed, just like them. Ready for the next adventure, he whispered. Geraldine looked at him, this pretty, risky man who'd become her everything, and smiled. With you always. Hope yawned in her sleep, tiny and perfect, and theirs. And in that quiet hospital room, as Seoul's sunrise painted the sky gold, Geraldine got she'd finally found what she'd been looking for her whole life. Home. If you loved Geraldine and Mingyu's trip from that shocking first night to their beautiful family, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. Would you take the risk for a love like this? Subscribe so you never miss another romance story, because I've got more dangerously can't resist tales coming your way. Trust me, you won't want to miss what's next.